The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...
Ayo Josh, let me get a little bit of reverb. Yeah, J Will. Yeah, I'm about that lifestyle. I talk green work, repping it all over. It's right on the t-shirt. Fan for a lifetime. Yeah, that's a long pass. Figure I would show some love right on the podcast. Turn this up loud and make sure you don't do nothing else. Cause if you're listening to us, then you're improving your health. My name is J Will. Welcome to the show, yeah. Wrestle, flow, yeah.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of Mania to Mania. It is, of course, Wrestling Reverb as you know it, but Mania to Mania is our new series. If, hey, for any reason that you haven't listened to the first Mania to Mania, go back a few weeks, pause this right now, go back and listen to the first Mania to Mania that I had with JPQ, and we focused on Ronda Rousey. You get the kind of flow of how Mania to Mania is going to roll. Kevin is here this time. It's his first Mania to Mania. We are keen to get this show on the road. Kev, how are you? We didn't really have an episode last week. Just all on my part, nothing on your part. Just busy time of year, but we've had Survivor Series and everything like that. But how are you doing, Kev?
I'm good. I'm so excited to finally be here sitting down with you to talk a little Mania to Mania. I loved the first episode. Big thanks to JPQ for stepping in my absence. But you know what? Get the hell out of here, JPQ. This is my seat.
Oh, I'm sure JPQ will have something to say about that. I'm sure he's listening. But yeah, Mania to Mania, I was kind of like going through my brain and I'm like, okay, Ronda was a first great episode because she just had that stellar year. And then I was like, how do I kind of follow this up? And I'm like, I don't want to just do the cliche, quote-unquote, big names, because it would be easy for us to say, hey, not that we wouldn't do this, but it would be easy for you or me, Kev, to just be like, let's do one on Shawn. Let's do one on Steve Austin, The Rock. It's pretty simple. That would be a pretty easy structure, and they all have, like, action-packed years, whatever kind of Mania you would kind of go towards. But it'd be pretty easiest for us to do that. But I was like, hey, who don't we talk about very often? And when I was kind of going through my brain, I'm like, we don't really talk about AJ Lee very often in our world and just in the wrestling world in general. She's I kind of been using this term, but she's a bit of an unsung hero of what we're seeing with the women now, because she really shaped the way for what we see now across the board of wrestling. She was much more character driven in a time where the ladies didn't really get a lot of time to develop a character. She was involved in main event storylines. She was involved in other things. And we'll talk about her year, which I think was probably her peak year from 29 to 30. But how do you feel about AJ just before we start talking about the actual timeline? You know, she come in from the original season of NXT and then, you know, eventually started the crazy chick kind of thing with Punk and Bryan and Kane, and that was really her like coming out party, and she's really, really a fantastic character. Again, like I said, in a time where the women weren't really getting a lot of time to develop a character.
She didn't necessarily do the crazy character first, but she did it best. In my opinion, I think she was the best iteration of the crazy character. She was so good at it. She was so good on the mic. She was so good in the ring. An unsung hero is the perfect way to put it, because she doesn't get the credit that the horsewomen get, that, you know, wrestlers of this generation get. She was just right before.
Yeah. Opened a lot of doors.
Yeah, absolutely. And having gone back and watched all of her matches at least all of her pay-per-view matches that were available to me in the time frame we're about to discuss, she was a great worker. She really was. She pulled good matches out of a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think she was very, those workers that aren't necessarily like, not saying that she wasn't a great worker, because I actually think she was, but aren't necessarily like, they do like the most moves. She is the kind of worker that just was very comfortable in the ring and stuck to what she knew and did that very well. She didn't really have to do too much other stuff because she worked her character into her match. She did what she needed to do. She had a cool finish, and that was the kind of, and again, this was right before the women started to get a lot more time. This was right before that kind of burst with that. She kind of was here, and she was the person that maybe had the keys to the house to open up this whole new world. But once she opened the door, she kind of was like, well, I'm just here to open it, and I'm gone. But she did do a lot in her time. But let's get going. Let's start with our first WrestleMania that we're looking at here, and that's WrestleMania 29. And she was a manager, which is really, really, over this year, it's just gonna be weird to go from 29 to 30. But WrestleMania 29, she was a manager for Dolph Ziggler and Big E Langston. They took on Team Hell No for the WWE Tag Team Championships. What do you remember about WrestleMania 29 in a whole, and about this match? Because sometimes going through all this kind of stuff, I genuinely do forget some of the stuff that happened. But from memory, this was Big E Langston's, at the time, first main roster match, I believe.
It was, I think, because he was just serving as a manager / like bodyguard for Ziggler. I think this was the first time we saw him in the ring. But as far as AJ Lee goes, I think this is like this start to Mania is like the perfect encapsulation of the whole thing. She was a manager. And
Dolph Ziggler's girlfriend. They were dating for maybe 3 or 4 months at this point. I remember her turning on Cena and then aligning with Ziggler.
Yeah, she turned on Cena. She aligned with Ziggler after she had turned on everyone else to align with Cena. She did her job well. She did her job well. She was a good manager. She got Ziggler to a point of relevancy that he hadn't quite broken through yet. And obviously they didn't win at WrestleMania 29, Ziggler and Langston. They lost to Team Hell No. But AJ Lee certainly, she did her part. She made that duo and Dolph as a whole more watchable. Yeah,
especially Dolph at the time was on the cusp. And everyone was like, he had the money in the bank going into this Mania. And it was like, we were all ready for Ziggler. I remember being I think, if we were talking and podcasting then, I think we'd be talking a lot about Dolph Ziggler, because it was just like, it's time for Ziggler. It's time for Ziggler. At that point, we had been waiting a long time. But AJ Lee was there. They didn't get the win. Team Hell No got the win. I don't really remember a lot about the match. It was just a tag team title match at Mania. I'm sure it was fine. I didn't go back and watch this match in particular, but I'm sure it was fine. But we'll talk about what happened on April 8th, 2013, the night after WrestleMania, because Dolph Ziggler did cash in. AJ Lee was there. It was in New Jersey. It was probably, I think it still is, probably my favorite cash-in of a Money in the Bank ever. That whole moment was just, it's almost completely indescribable. I can't describe that feeling, because it was just like one of the loudest crowd reactions I had ever heard. I was watching Raw live that day, I'm pretty certain. Everything, and AJ in that moment, even just in a manager role, made that moment even bigger. But it was just, oh man, what a moment that was, that cash in. Do you remember that moment, and did you watch that live? What was going through your brain?
I watched it live for sure. I remember exactly where I was. I was at my buddy's house. We had watched WrestleMania 29 the night before, and then we were at my buddy's house watching Raw. And I think it wasn't like we didn't think it was coming. That wasn't the draw to it. I think a lot of people knew that Ziggler might cash in, especially after the match that Del Rio went through and the ankle injury that he had. But goddamn, was that crowd hot for it. You don't have to have a huge, surprise to get a crowd hot. If you do the right thing and send the right person out at the right time, the crowd will pop for you. They sent Ziggler, AJ, and Langston out there, and it just felt right. it just felt so important. Like I mentioned the ceiling Ziggler was trying to break through. You could almost hear the shattering of the glass as Ziggler came down to the ring. Then the actual cash-in itself, it wasn't just a straightforward Ziggler hits the zigzag and wins. Del Rio showed some fight, which I appreciated. It added a little suspense, like, oh, is he gonna screw this cash-in up? He didn't, of course. And then that crowd pop on the 1, 2, 3 hit. Oh my God!
Oh yeah, it was
amazing. AJ was right there for it, and while she didn't have to do anything to really sell the moment. She just had to be there. She had to be in Dolph's corner, and she had to sell her ass off when he won the title, and she just had to you had to be happy for him, and she did that. It was a little thing, but it's something that's important.
Yeah, it's I'm pretty sure you'd have to be pretty heartless not to feel something in that moment. I don't care if you were friends with it wouldn't matter to me. It would just be like, wow, this feeling. I mean, I'd pay anything to be in that building at that point. That would have been a reaction that I don't think anyone would ever. You couldn't recreate that. It's very organic. But moving on, this is the first time AJ's actually wrestling, was on April 13th, 2013, and it was a battle royal for the number 1 contendership to Kaitlyn's Divas Championship. It was only 5 women in this match, a 5-woman battle royal: Tamina, Naomi, Oksana, Layla, and AJ. They're in England. Going back and looking at this match, I actually do remember watching this match, the sandbagging of AJ. AJ did get the win, obviously. They were kind of, for a few months, teasing, well, more than a few months, over the course of AJ's crazy time. Of course, Kaitlyn was her best friend from NXT, and everything like that. They were just good friends, but AJ was going crazy, and they had little moments of AJ kind of going a little crazy on Kaitlyn, and then Kaitlyn won the Divas Championship and everything like that. Before we talk about AJ becoming the number 1 contender, how do you feel about Kaitlyn? Because I was always a big Kaitlyn fan. I always liked AJ more, but I was always a big Kaitlyn fan, and I think she was, especially at that point, very underrated of how much she actually improved from the season of NXT that she won. She improved a lot, and she had a great little story with Eve Torres, and then going into this story with AJ, it was actually something you could sink your teeth into because it was personal. They were friends. They actually had something behind them. But how did you feel about Kaitlyn?
I was a Kaitlyn fan. I thought she represented something different than what we usually saw from the Divas division back then in early 2013. I think she was a powerful woman. She was strong. She was quick and agile. She hit a really nice spear.
Yeah,
really nice I think that a lot of her allure stems from the fact that she was so different.
Yeah,
I don't know that many. I know Kaitlyn's someone that also gets lost in the shuffle when it comes to the Divas Revolution and all that. But I think Kaitlyn really was a part of the bridge as well as AJ. I think Kaitlyn really, took the division and made it into something just a little bit different.
Yeah, because she had a different look. She was a little more muscular. I don't mean that in a bad sense. Like she had a little bit of muscle, and she wasn't just the cookie cutter, that model, quote unquote, look that a lot of the divas had at that time. But this year, this 2013 and beyond, was really when we didn't even know it, but there was small little things that were happening that were going, we have something here. And I think this storyline is something that I always look back on, and the storyline that Eve and Kaitlyn had, although it was on a little bit of a lesser scale than this, they had a story. And that's what I was like, okay, because I feel like over the years of the Divas division, there was little bursts of a cool little story every now and again, but it wasn't very consistent. Like you had Beth Phoenix and Kelly Kelly, they had that kind of story that went for a little while, and then it just kind of fizzled, and then you didn't have anything for a little while. Then you had Eve, and Eve had a lot of heat behind her with the stuff with Cena and everything like that, and then Kaitlyn, and then going into this. So I feel like we were getting little bits and getting little sprinkles here and there, and be like, if you just were a little bit more consistent, because I think there was a lot of talent within the Divas division, they just weren't given a lot of opportunity. I always thought about everyone that kind of says, oh, they were crap back then, they were this. I don't think that was not everyone was a great worker. There was some duds in there, like with everything. But I think if they were a little bit more consistent and gave them a little bit more opportunity, I think we could have got something earlier than what we got. I think we eventually would have got to this stage in the end, but I think we could have got there faster. But this was a good story to go with because, like I said, there was actually something behind Kaitlyn and AJ. So AJ won. She eliminated Layla to win this. And then for like a month or so, I don't exactly remember how long in between, but Kaitlyn had like a secret admirer. Do you remember all those backstage segments where she'd get like a present or like a card and Kaitlyn would have some kind of secret admirer? Did you think from the start, okay, this is probably something to do with AJ here since she was the number one contender and they didn't really have like a date set for their match? It was quite a bit of time in between the win of the number one contendership to when she actually got the title match, but which is a good thing because they actually had a story to build here with the secret admirer thing. And as weird as it sounds, it didn't really take a lot of time off the show. And that was the big thing with the Divas division back then, is that the reason they weren't getting stories is because they were getting 3 or 4 minutes of the entire Raw. In the exception of AJ, who was getting a little bit more, but she was working with dudes. So she was getting more time. But this only took, a couple of minutes in a backstage promo to give Kaitlyn her gift, and then we're going on. So it was building a story, but you remember all these backstage segments. I remember getting gifts backstage from different things and giant cards and flowers and stuff like that. And it actually got to show Kaitlyn, a different side of Kaitlyn as well. What do you think about all this leading up to what happened?
I had a feeling. I remember this was like right when I was getting sort of back into watching wrestling, because I took a little bit of a break from like 2010 to 2012ish.
Yeah.
So this is like, I remember very vividly this storyline. I remember thinking it was like kind of cool.
I like it too, yeah.
It was a story, like you said. It was a story. They had a story. It may have been a little corny, but that's okay. I don't mind corny. I don't mind the secret admirer. I was interested to see who it was. I had a feeling that it was AJ playing tricks. I didn't expect Langston's role to be what it was. I thought there would just be like a reveal where AJ came out and attacked her from behind. I like that they used Langston as a stand-in because A, it allowed him to showcase a little bit of personality, and B, he's just a funny dude.
Yeah, he's got personality, and he's not just like a big dude. You know what I mean? A big dude that can beat you up.
For months, he was just that big dude that stood behind Ziggler and AJ. And then he's all of a sudden, you're like, oh, this guy's got, he's got some charisma to him. He's got some personality. This really helped his career. Yeah,
it's really weird how you look at that, and it's like where Big E is now and where Big E was then. Or Big E Langston back then, I should say. But it showed that even just a little bit of personality. It showed personality for Kaitlyn, and AJ got to work where I feel like she shines the most, which is with a microphone in her hand. But on June 10th, 2013, Big E came out to be Kaitlyn's secret admirer. I remember the moment. He was holding her like he was going to kiss her, the dip, and then dropped her, and out come AJ. Out come AJ, and cut a wonderful promo on her. I remember AJ's promo. I used to love AJ a lot. I was very much involved with AJ. I was like, everything AJ. And I thought she was a very, very good promo. I think everyone thinks that about her now. Even to this day, I think she's still one of the better female talkers maybe ever. She cut a very good promo. This segment was really fun, and it built towards the Payback match that I guess we'll get into. But on June 16th, 2013, at Payback, Kaitlyn and AJ for the Divas Championship. If you go back and watch this match, everyone, it is it's like it's taken from almost now time and put back in, because it goes for about 12, 13 minutes, which is a long time back then. It was a very, very good match. I remember loving this match. Going back and watching this, doing my research for this, watching it again, I've watched that match a lot, but it holds up now. It's a very, very good match. What do you think about that match? Because at that time, we weren't really getting consistently great Divas matches. They weren't getting the time to do so.
Yeah, if you look back at just the pay-per-view beforehand, which was Extreme Rules, the Divas were left off the card completely while Kaitlyn was champion.
Yeah.
So it really took someone like AJ to provide that spark and get them not only on the card, they got 11 minutes. 10 minutes, 52 seconds to be exact.
Yeah.
Which is about 5 to 6 minutes more than your typical Divas match got, even on pay-per-view.
Yep.
And it was a good match. I watched it today, day of recording. Really good stuff. They had great chemistry in the ring. Yeah. AJ she could work with anybody. And she's not, like you said before, she's not like the most, she's not flippy.
No.
She's not going to bust out she's not going to bust out like Saito suplexes and stuff. But she's going to be technically sound. She's going to use that craziness to her advantage. She's going to pull hair and throw fists and just be a nut.
Yeah.
And that's the best way for her to work. And it works. It is so well done.
Especially Kaitlyn is a little bit bigger than her. She can kind of throw her around a bit. There was a counter in that match where AJ went for a crossbody. Kaitlyn caught her and then did like a little went to swinger, and she got her in the Black Widow, and it was beautiful. The crowd, this was Chicago too, so the crowd are pretty unforgiving if something's not very good in Chicago. We know that with everything that's just transpired with Survivor Series. They're a hot crowd. It's known. Chicago is probably one of the biggest wrestling cities in the States. It is just very hot for wrestling, and you can't really fuck up here because they will let you know. But I remember at this point, even going back and watching this, that counter into the Black Widow, the crowd were on their feet. They were very much ready for AJ to win. But by the end of this match, they were going for Kaitlyn as well. And that's the good sign of a good match because they're cheering for the babyface in a very heel-based city. Like, Chicago go for a lot of heels. That's just them. But there was a spear in this match that the crowd were going nuts for, and the story within that match, because again, the Divas weren't getting a lot of time to tell a story. Kaitlyn hesitated off the spear for the pin. It was just a very good match. That kick out, that false finish, everyone was on every moment, and it built to every moment. I thought the match was just really damn good.
I think more so than Chicago's a city that appreciates good wrestling, and they're unforgiving towards bad wrestling.
That's true.
That's why this match was so important, was that at the beginning of the match, the crowd popped for AJ and gave Kaitlyn almost zero reaction. But like you said, during the match, they both won the crowd over to the point where they were just cheering.
Yeah.
They weren't cheering for anyone in particular. They were cheering the match, which is the best compliment two wrestlers could receive, is that their matches received that way.
Yeah.
There were, like you said, great counters, great chain wrestling, great storytelling. The hesitation, Kaitlyn's hitting the spear and then sort of taunting AJ before going for the pin. That was picture perfect. Kaitlyn had so much, built up animosity towards AJ with all the secret admirer stuff that it only made sense for her to want to rub it in a little bit.
Yeah.
But it also showed her maybe her inexperience as a champion.
Yeah.
That she's not going for the pin right away. And JBL called her out on commentary. JBL was the only person on commentary that was actually doing his job during this match.
It was like, what are you doing or something. I remember him saying, what are you doing? Cover her.
Win the match, Kaitlyn, cover her.
She blew her a kiss like AJ blew her a kiss, I believe, on the Raw before.
Yeah.
She blew her a kiss just because there was continuity between this story, and it flowed really nicely. It's amazing what you can do with anybody in the wrestling world when you give them a little bit of a backstory. And this had been building because they'd been friends for a few years, so we automatically cared. That was a lot of the problem with the Divas division, because they weren't getting a lot of time. I don't necessarily think it wasn't because they weren't quote-unquote talented. It was because nobody cared. There was no character development. I am a firm believer that wrestling, or at least WWE, is 90% character, 10% wrestling. I love good wrestling, and we get good wrestling a lot. We get good match after good match after good match after great match, and it's great, and I love it. But I think if you have no character, there's really no reason to care.
I think you're right. I think that character work is such an important part of wrestling, and I think some wrestlers overlook that. Even nowadays, sometimes you look at wrestling as more of a the athleticism and the wrestling aspect, which is important. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, of course.
But you have to have a character that people are invested in. If you're just out there a generic white meat baby face and you could do flips and do cool moves,
I'd be like, cool, yeah, whatever, move on.
Yeah,
Like,
you watch the once, you think, oh, that's cool, but you don't care.
No.
You can do that every week, and you're not going to be like, oh, wow, I really am invested in this person. You need a character to be invested in somebody. Mm-hmm. And both of these women had characters. Yep. And that's why that Chicago crowd was invested, especially in AJ, because she had such a fully fleshed out and defined character.
Yeah, and she was really the only lady that had that at that point. Or the only lady that got the chance to do that at that point, I should say. But she did win. Black Widow, tap out. Even the tap out was really good. The hesitation from Kaitlyn to kind of... She didn't just tap out like, oh my god. Like, she was like hesitant and slowly tapping out like, I don't want to do this.
Very, very... she just like was she was defeated.
She lost.
That is the perfect way to put it. She knew she lost, and she wasn't tapping out from the pain necessarily, although she was, but she was tapping out from defeat.
She was like, I can't hold on. Like, this is just, and it was like the slowest, like she started tapping on the mat and then tapped on her arm, like, oh my god, I just lost. And then the Chicago crowd got a little nasty towards her when she started crying. Layla came out. The crowd were booing a little bit. There's no crying in wrestling, you would say. But that would be the only time Kaitlyn really got booed in this match, because I don't really remember Kaitlyn getting booed, because from the get-go of this match, Kaitlyn threw AJ into the announce table, like over onto the chairs over the announce table, and we didn't see that from women at that point. So from the get-go of this match, they were right out of the gate like, let's go. We are going to make a good match right here, because they clicked, they were friends. Just everything flowed in that match nicely. It was easily the best Divas match I had seen in years. I'm not saying that there weren't good little spurts, but this was just, everything just came together really, really nicely in this match, and I just thought it was great.
It really was great. And yeah, like you said, they started off so hot with the announce table spotlight. You just didn't see from women. You still don't always see it from women.
You don't really
but
see
AJ
it. Yeah.
Sold that like $1 million going all the way over the table like that. AJ, her selling is next level. Yeah, like she is so good in there. She made Kaitlyn look like the strongest woman you've ever seen.
And that's what a good heel does. Makes their babyface look better. Make the babyface shine. Isn't that what a good heel does, in my opinion anyway. But just a really good match. But next night on Raw, June 17th, 2013, AJ Lee's celebration of winning the Divas Championship is interrupted by Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie basically says that what she did to Kaitlyn wasn't very like women empowering and all that kind of stuff. Before we get to the Kaitlyn bit, I want to talk to you about AJ and Stephanie. A lot of the time throughout the years of AJ's career, this seemed to be a match that people wanted to see, especially in that time before coming out of, I guess you would say, wrestling retirement for Stephanie McMahon. She hadn't wrestled in a long time, up until she wrestled Brie Bella, but AJ and Stephanie seemed to be something they would always just do little spots with, and we never really got anything out of it. Would there have been a time within the 4 or 5 years that AJ was actually actively wrestling that you would have liked to see AJ versus Stephanie McMahon?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think that it would have been a great... I don't know if it would have been for the title. I mean, that would be too... I think that would be too... what's the word I'm looking for? Too, telegraphed that AJ would win. But I think it would have been a good match somewhere along the line during 2013 when AJ was at her absolute peak. I could have seen it, months down the line. But as for right now, at this segment, they did such a good job. AJ and Stephanie were always at odds, even if they were both heels, they were always at odds. They were never friends. No. They were always at odds, and they're both two very powerful women. Obviously, Stephanie McMahon's powerful. She runs the company. AJ Lee's the champion. They always seemed at odds, and that's a money match. That is a money match that I'm sad we never got to see.
Yeah, and I think with moments like here, also the Divas Championship, a lot of people have a negative spin on the Divas Championship. It was a butterfly and everything like that. I don't hate the Divas Championship because I think it represented that time. And I think it was a nice, we use this word a lot, evolution with the women. And I think it represented that time nicely. However, when I look at the Divas Championship, two people come to mind, Nikki Bella and AJ Lee. They're the two people that I think of with the Divas Championship. Especially because you're gonna hear this throughout this Mania to Mania, is that AJ was the Divas Champion for a very long time, and she kind of ushered in that side of, she was really a transition from the Divas to what we see now. We'll talk about it more in a minute, but I really do think of AJ Lee and Nikki Bella when I think of the Divas Championship. But do you hate the Divas Championship as much as the internet hates the Divas Championship?
I was never a big fan of the belt. I just thought it was ugly. I don't care. I don't necessarily care that it was a butterfly. I just thought the belt, I guess I did care that it was a butterfly because I thought it was ugly. Sorry to burst your bubble, Josh.
No, I don't. I get it. I don't love the title either. I think it's. I think it's the prettiest. Well, I don't. I was just indifferent. It was just like, it was just that. Looking back on it now, I can be like, it was just that time. It just represented that era, and that's what it was.
I do agree with your assessment of who represents the Divas Championship, and it is those two women.
Yeah. But going on to July 12th, 2013, it was an edition of SmackDown. It was the first ever Divas Championship contract signing. Kaitlyn and AJ would be meeting at Money in the Bank. Again, a segment that were women, obviously, this is the first ever, were not getting. They were getting a lot of time in this story. I think because of their match that they had at Payback, and just people being so invested in AJ and Kaitlyn in this rematch. Again, doors opening slightly, maybe just pushing them open a little bit so you can just see through. But it was planting seeds for what we see today. First ever women's contract signing doesn't just happens because there's a story invested in this.
Yeah, and it was a good segment. I was able to catch the recap when I was watching Money in the Bank earlier today, and it was a good segment. Like, you got good promos from both women.
Yeah.
So many times you see contract signings be carried by one particular person. This one wasn't, and it felt important. They had all the divas out there. Stephanie McMahon was out there. It just felt important. It felt like the Divas Championship, maybe for the first time in years, actually mattered, and they were actually putting some time into it.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Of course, and the ending of a contract signing always goes a little bit crazy.
Haywire, yeah.
Kaitlyn got a nice spear on AJ. I feel like that was a lot of segments with Kaitlyn and AJ. Was Kaitlyn spearing AJ pretty much out of her boots, which I'm not mad about because just everything flowed really nicely with this. AJ turns into like an alien when she gets hit with a spear by Kaitlyn, so she sold the crap out of that. And Kaitlyn hits a nice spear, so I'm not mad at seeing that. But July 14th, 2013, Money in the Bank, AJ Lee, Kaitlyn. It was a good match, but it was nowhere near the quality of Payback.
I liked it. It was a little shorter. I liked it. I thought they did a good job differentiating it from Payback.
Yeah, it was different. They did mistake the ending, though. From watching that back, they got the wrong arm. AJ was working on one arm the entire time.
I remember thinking, like, why didn't she hook it in the other way?
I mean, it still worked. I mean, it's still a finish. It's still whatever, but they had like
that's why I wasn't so bothered by it, because bad arm or good arm, that move is still gonna hurt the hell out of it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't bothered by that. Like, it was noticeable, but it wasn't like a deal buster for me.
No, but I mean, at the time, I don't even think I noticed it. But going back and actually like analyzing something, you're like, okay, why did that happen? It was still a fine match, but
I'm sure I noticed it at the time because I was mark. I was probably like, oh my god, their work rate is dropping.
Oh my god, they're not doing enough arm drags and whatever.
I need some Canadian destroyers in here, man. Clickety clickety clack clack.
Oh man, everyone does those now. Big E and Layla were both out there just for continuity, I guess. Yeah, moral support. But we'll talk about, she retained Black Widow. We moved on. Later that night, though, Ziggler AJ caused Ziggler to lose his rematch for the World Heavyweight Championship. She hit Alberto because she was trying to protect him from a further head injury. There was stuff going on with Ziggler with concussions and whatever. So it prompted a disqualification.
You had that great double turn between Ziggler and Del Rio. I believe that was at Payback.
It was,
as well.
yeah. That was at Payback, yeah. Something we didn't really
sort
see.
of the beginning of the, you have AJ being a heel, Dolph being a face now, sort of the beginning of the rift, the beginning of the ascension.
Kind of a face and a heel date. It's, oh, no.
No.
But yeah, prompted a DQ, so Ziggler was pretty pissed, as you would be, I guess. I can't stand it when, my girlfriend, causes a DQ. I just hate when that happens, so I can...
I hate being screwed out of the world title by my girlfriend. That's right.
It's the worst. So the next night on Raw, there was a little tension, and wasn't really happy with AJ. Ziggler broke up with AJ, and what happens when you break up with AJ Lee?
Oh, she gets you. She gets you good.
She might go a little bit crazy. She might go a little bit insane. So, leading into, we're in the summer at this point, or the American summer, going into like SummerSlam and stuff like that. I think AJ cost Ziggler like another chance at the World Championship or another match at the World Championship, and then she kind of aligned herself with Big E, taking that away from Ziggler because he was a face now, so he couldn't have his heavy, couldn't have his protection. So AJ was great with Big E. They just worked nicely together, I think. But on the July 26th edition of SmackDown, AJ Lee gave her State of Her Mind address, which is really weird just to say out loud. It's like, okay, she's batshit crazy. But again, AJ's promo work is something that we're going to allude to a lot over the next few things that we're going to talk about. But she's just very good. She was very comfortable at talking. And I don't believe in the original season of NXT, she was like that. I don't think she was comfortable with a microphone in her hand. She just really became comfortable because she got opportunities to speak. When you get opportunities to speak, you get more comfortable. Practice makes perfect.
Practice makes perfect. Repetition, repetition, repetition. You could tell in those NXT days that she was a little nervous, that she was more comfortable in the ring than on the microphone. But the microphone is such an important part of wrestling, same as character work. You have to be able to talk. And not only did she learn to talk, she became the best talker in the Divas division and one of the best talkers in the whole company.
Yeah, especially at that time. Yeah, I agree with you completely. But Ziggler ended up interrupting this State of Her Mind address, and Kaitlyn ended up coming in. And what did she do to AJ? What did Kaitlyn do to AJ? Of course, she gave her a spear. Again, ain't mad at all. But Kaitlyn and AJ were still in this rivalry. This had been going... There's a lot of depth to this story because it was usually after a couple of months with these... I talked about these like little bursts of stories within the Divas division. They fizzled out within a couple of months. This has been going for 3 months at this point. On the August 2nd edition of SmackDown, AJ would defend against Kaitlyn, and Kaitlyn would lose because Layla turned on Kaitlyn. How did you... Let's take a break of talking about AJ for a minute. Layla, all right? She was there for a long time. She was there from 2006 all the way up until 2015. So she was there for 9 years. She had Lay Cool. She had... I know you took a little bit of a break in between, but she had Lay Cool in there, and I actually, believe it or not, I don't know if you'll get this, with my love for the Iconics, who are very similar to Lay Cool. I think they're pretty much a carbon copy of Lay Cool in a lot of ways because they're just that kind of like annoying, they never shut up kind of deal. And I love Lay Cool. But how do you feel about Layla's ring work? Because I think she's a little bit underappreciated in what she improved a lot over the years. She was a dancer in the original ECW and the Extreme Expose with Kelly and and then she kind of, by the end of it, she was a 2-time women's champ, I believe. Maybe 3.
Well, I know she held the belt with Michelle McCool at one point. The Divas belt.
And then she held the women's championship because they had it broken in half, and then she held the Divas championship a little bit later on. But Layla is someone that doesn't. Again, she is one that doesn't really get talked about a lot now. She's not really involved in any of the like comebacks or the reunions or anything like that. You don't really hear a hell of a lot from Layla at all. So how do you feel about Layla?
Layla is someone that was there for 9 years and never made an impact on me once. I'll be honest. I never really, besides the Lady Cool stuff, which retrospectively going back and watching was really good, except maybe the Piggy James stuff was a little eh.
Yeah, that was a little bit, it was, I don't even know how to describe it.
A little bit in poor taste.
Yes.
But yeah, Layla's someone who never really made a dent in my psyche.
Fair, that's fair. Anyway, we digress. Layla turned on Kaitlyn, so AJ retained. But it was all leading towards SummerSlam, August 18th, 2013. Kaitlyn and Dolph Ziggler versus Big E Langston and AJ in a mixed tag team match. Kaitlyn and Ziggler got the win, and this was kind of the end of the AJ, Kaitlyn, Ziggler. It was the end of all of that.
Yeah, and it was the perfect way to end it. It was, you have the highest profile match that Kaitlyn and AJ had, even if it wasn't for the Divas title. It was, they're competing with the guys. They were on the main card. They were, they got time, and they got showcased in a way that they hadn't been showcased. I think it was the perfect way to wrap up. Plus, SummerSlam's a good time to wrap up feuds.
Yeah. I've
always felt that way. I've always felt it's more of a feud wrapper than a feud starter.
Yeah.
So I had no problem with the match itself. So the match itself was fine. Obviously, you had Ziggler pinning Langston. I would have liked to see maybe Kaitlyn pin AJ, get some level of retribution. But, I digress. Good match, fair match, fine match, whatever you want to call it. And then, AJ was able to move on. This is a good feud, but all good things have to come to an end. They got 3 months out of it, which is, again, about 3 months longer than your average Divas feud in that time.
Yep, I agree with you completely, because August 26, 2013 is a very big day in AJ Lee's career. There was the a match between Brie Bella and Natalya, I believe. I didn't actually write it down, but all we need to talk about is what happened after that match. The whole cast of the Total Divas were out in the ring. There was a lot of stuff going on with, when Total Divas first began, they had a lot of, matches happening with what was going on Total Divas that week. I believe, Natalya and Nikki Bella had, a match over a painting at one stage. They were trying to incorporate the storylines on Total Divas with the storylines on Raw and SmackDown, and it wasn't really... There was a weird disconnect. Anyway...
Yeah.
They were having a lot of matches. The Total Divas girls were working with the Total Divas girls, and that was pretty much their bubble. And everyone else was working outside of that. That's why I think AJ and Kaitlyn, in a weird sense, I know it was very good, but they were able to have a long feud because there wasn't a lot of other women for AJ to work with yet. Because they didn't know how to incorporate the show with everything, because it airs so much later and stuff like that. So I think it was a good thing that the Total Divas were just working with the Total Divas at that stage so AJ and Kaitlyn could have their rivalry. But AJ skipped on out and cut a very infamous, they call it the pipe bombshell. I don't know if people want to call it. It was something that some people say it wasn't. Some people say it was. I thought it was a very good promo. She spoke a lot of truth. Spoke a lot of what wrestling fans were thinking about Total Divas, but not necessarily the Total Diva fans were thinking about the Bellas and Natty and Naomi and whoever else was on that show. But AJ cut a it was very pipe bomb-esque, I guess you could say. There was a lot of
scathing,
a worked shoot, I guess you would say, on the cast of Total Divas. The only gripe I have with this, and I like the Bellas, but I wish they would have shut the fuck up while she was talking. Because there's a lot of screaming by the Bellas, say it to her face. Just let her cut a promo. Just let her cut a promo. I'm not a Bella hater. You know me. I love the Bellas. I think they did a lot of good stuff, but call spade a spade here. They should have shut their mouths when this was going on. Nonetheless, still a very good promo, and started really what we're going to talk about for the majority now of the rest of this Mania to Mania, is that it was AJ versus the Total Divas. This promo at the time, I just remember being enamored. Finally. we have something to really, really sink our teeth into here, because it was a lot of what wrestling fans were thinking about Total Divas. I don't hate Total Divas. I don't believe I hated it at the time. I thought it was good because it got more eyes on the females, because I was always a fan of the Divas division. I always wanted more. So I think it was a good thing. However, I was a fan of AJ Lee first and foremost. She was the best. And I was like, you're speaking a lot of truth here. How did you feel about this? And what did you think about that promo just in general?
This was like the most kayfabe thing for me because I loved Total Divas. And AJ did so. I loved AJ, and I loved Total Divas, and that was actually really how I got back into women's wrestling, was watching Total Divas, and I'm like, oh wow, I get this cool insight into all their lives. I care about these characters now.
Yeah.
So this turned me on AJ. I was mad.
You were getting worked, brother. You were getting worked.
I recognize a good promo when I see one, and this was a good promo, but I was like, dude, fuck AJ Lee. I love the Bella Twins. I love Eva Marie.
I love Eva Marie
Natty too. And Naomi and JoJo. JoJo wrestled like one match.
And she was really good. And I was like, what the fuck? JoJo's like doing all this weird, like crazy shit. And then she never wrestled again. I was like, what the fuck? But anyway.
I'm a big JoJo fan. She was my favorite. But again,
I was an Eva Marie guy. I was always an Eva Marie guy.
AJ did such a tremendous job turning me against her the way she was.
Hey, she was meant to. She was meant to. She was the heel.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. She was meant to turn people away. And she turned me away. I got worked. I'm proud of it. I love when the product I called it the product.
Oh, I'm never going to let you live that down. You called it
Son of a bitch. I love when wrestling works me. Yes, I love being worked.
The product works me as well. But
fuck.
I think in a lot of people's minds, AJ was the face.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely.
She wasn't lying. And when I don't know if it's a good heel or a bad heel thing, but I think a good heel is one that's telling the truth. That you can go, fuck, she's right. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's right in a lot of things that she was saying.
Yeah, and she walked that line where it was like, oh, fuck, she's right, but I still hate her for it.
And that's what a good heel is, because you understand, but you also, like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter what you say, I don't like you. That is that is what they would have been doing. They would have wanted a million views, Kevin, so then everyone would have booed AJ, would have cheered the cast of Total Divas. It didn't quite go that way, but...
It didn't quite work like that, because not everyone's like me. I'm one of a kind.
No, that's true. But the next match that we'll talk about is on September 15th, 2013, at Night of Champions. It was a fatal four-way. AJ Lee, Naomi, Natty, and Brie Bella. AJ retained. It was a good little four-way. I thought it was fun.
It was fun. It was a little... It was a match that could have gone on a little longer.
I agree. I really do agree with that. Now, I could have my wires crossed here, Kev, but was this the pay-per-view before AJ would enlist Tamina Snuka, or was it the Raw? It was very close.
Tamina was not present at this event.
No, it was a little bit after that she enlisted Tamina, but we'll talk about this fatal four-way. There was some really cool spots within the match, and it got people like Natty, who hadn't really had too much of a chance in the previous few years to really show too much. Naomi, everyone was talking about Naomi like she's so athletic, and again, she hadn't really had a chance to really show that. She was a part of like the Funkadactyls, and then they were feuding with the Bellas for a little while, and then Total Divas came around. She wasn't really able to showcase too much of what she could actually do. And then Brie was really, it's so weird to say this now, but up until, the run that Nikki Bella had, Brie was showcased as like the quote-unquote worker of the Bellas. She was the one with the Divas Championship reign. She was the one that was always wrestling. Like, she was the one that was really put the focus on, because for the longest time, in my opinion, Brie was a better worker than Nikki up until the Divas Championship run and the comeback and everything like that. Nikki was better than Brie, but Brie was really positioned as the worker.
And she worked well in this match. She had a couple nice drop kicks.
Beautiful. Brie Bella's always done beautiful drop kicks. Well, not always. When she learned how to do them, I think when Brian came around and she actually like focused in on like, I want to get better at wrestling. I know that Brie had a little bit of a disaster run in her last run with some things that happened. A lot of she
call a spade a spade. She was a little sloppy.
Yeah, she was a little sloppy, but I don't think when people talk about, I think there's a lot of comparisons all the time. Like Nikki was on fire with a lot of things that she was doing. Brie was really good in the ring. She was very good at like drop kicks, and she did what she did, and she did that well. And then everything else happened. But in this case, she did a lot of stuff in this match that I was like, hey, she's holding this together really well. And again, she was positioned as the worker. It wasn't really a lot of times that Nikki was in these spots over Brie.
No, Nikki Bella wasn't even out there at the time, which I thought was kind of strange. But maybe I'm probably forgetting something about that. But
happened, yeah.
Yeah, but it was good. It was a good little match. Everyone got their chances to shine. You had Natalya hit the double sharpshooter. I believe it was for the first time.
Yeah, I believe it was too.
They mentioned it. I know Jerry on commentary said we're the first time we're going to see a double sharpshooter. I learned not to necessarily trust Jerry because he forgets things. Also, because his commentary is kind of shitty. But
wow, boom, I agree. But AJ won. AJ won. I'm blanking. Who did she get the win over?
Oh, I literally just watched this match.
I watched it a couple of days ago, but I think it was Naomi, but I could really be wrong. I know it was via submission. I'm pretty sure. I'm
trying to think of which hand I saw tapping because it was via submission. I'm trying to think of which hand.
Actually, I think it was.
It was Natty. It was Natalia. It was Natalia.
It was Natty. Yeah, it was Natty. Yeah. Which doesn't. Now that I say it, doesn't really surprise me. Natty was always that one, but it was a good match. Yeah, she was a fall taker, but it was a good match, and again, progressed the story because AJ was kind of that. She was just that one that was like, fuck you guys, you know what I mean? I'm not on that show because I'm better than you, basically. But a little bit after that, I don't know if it was the direct Raw after that or maybe the Raw, I didn't have the date written down, but she would get Tamina Snuka as her bodyguard, and that's where we turned the dial, I think, with AJ. I think Tamina and AJ were like a very good pairing because Tamina was just that heavy that just stood there, didn't really say a lot, and come in, beat up people that AJ, because AJ was like one of those, she was like, talk the talk and run away. That was AJ's thing, especially against the cast of Total Divas. She'd talk a lot of smack and get out of there. But when she had Tamina, she had backup. She had someone in there to come in and just hit a Samoan drop, hit a super kick, be done. And I thought it was a pairing.
It was the perfect wrestling dynamic. It's worked since literally like the 1930s.
Yep.
And for good reason. You know, you have the talker and you have the force.
Mm-hmm.
You have the pint-sized pixie, whatever you want to call it, who could talk a big game but won't back it up because she knows she's got backup. And Tamina at this point was really good at being backup. I know we clown Tamina, but like she filled this role perfectly. She didn't have to wrestle necessarily. She just had to be there.
It was very Shawn Diesel. It just worked really well. So I thought that was really nice. It came into effect really October 6th, 2013 at Battleground 2013, which is notoriously known for being a horrid show. If you actually go back and watch Battleground 2013, it sucked. It was not very good.
I didn't watch the whole show. Obviously, I just watched AJ's match, and I thought it was fine.
Yeah, this match was fine. Her and Brie had Tamina kind of there and everything like that. AJ retained.
A roll-up.
Yeah, a roll-up. Not a Black Widow. This was one of the first times that she hadn't won with a Black Widow on pay-per-view in a bit.
Yeah, and that makes Brie Bella seem strong. Oh, she needed to roll her up to win. She also needed the outside interference because Tamina jumped Nikki Bella and distracted Brie, and then that's how she got the roll-up.
Yeah. Yeah, the match was fine. It wasn't anything special. But again, Brie was in that spot where she was... her and AJ worked really well together, I thought. I thought they clicked quite nicely. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, as we continue to go down the list and we look back at the list, AJ worked well with just about everybody. She worked good matches with everyone she encountered on her reign.
Yeah. And they would have a rematch on October 27th at Hell in a Cell. Again, AJ would win. I remember a lot of this point, you'd see They weren't, like, WWE weren't sure of if they put the title on a cast member of Total Divas, how it would translate towards the show, because it airs so much later after filming. Did you really take did you take that into account at all? Did you believe that at all, that they weren't going to put the title on a cast member because of the filming of the show?
I believe it's quite the opposite. I believe that they were undoubtedly going to put the belt on a member of Total Divas because of the show. Okay. Obviously, I know there's a delay. I didn't think they would give a shit about that. I thought they would just say, like, "Oh, well, you know, we'll put the title on them. They'll hold it for a while, and then by the time the TV episodes roll around, they would still have the belt." I thought.
Yeah.
So for AJ to run through basically the entire cast and retain the belt is unbelievable.
Yeah, this was the one match out of the list that I didn't go back and watch, was the Hell in a Cell rematch. Did you go back and watch this match?
Yeah, it was, again, fine.
It was fine.
It was, there isn't a bad match in the bunch.
No.
Well, that's not true. We'll get there.
Let's just hold our horses on that one. But we'll move on. We'll move on. So from this point, from Hell in a Cell to obviously Survivor Series, one thing that always really happened with the ladies at Survivor Series, they would get the traditional Survivor Series match. I noticed that throughout the years. If you just go back through Survivor Series, the ladies would always get that, especially in the Divas era, I should say. There was always like a 3-on-3 traditional Survivor Series match, or a 4-on-4, 5-on-5. We go on to November 24th, 2013. There was a 7-on-7 traditional Survivor Series match. Now, back then, we were thinking, 7-on-7, that's a lot. But we just got through a 15-person Survivor Series match, so we can hold our horses on that. But Team True Divas. It was the team of AJ Lee, Kaitlyn, Tamina, Summer Rae, Alicia Fox, Oksana, and Rosa Mendez versus Team Total Divas, Brie Bella, Nikki Bella, Natalia, Naomi, Cameron, JoJo, and Eva Marie. Now, before we talk about the actual match, on paper, when you see all those names, who stands out?
Eva Marie.
Eva wasn't a great worker ever, but even at that point, she was not good. JoJo had a good little showing in this match. Weirdly enough, she did some stuff that I didn't know that JoJo could do. What do you think ever happened with JoJo? I know she went on to ring announcing and whatever, but do you just think it wasn't for her? Do you just think something was like...
She may have just had a change of heart. You know, she may have taken to ring announcing and realized it's a safer path. You're still with the company. You're still working in wrestling. So I believe she loves the business. Mm-hmm. I just believe wrestling wasn't for her, which sucks because I think she had but she was only like 18 years old. She had such potential. Yeah.
Potential would be the word. Now, there was a lot of bodies in this match, and what I noticed most about this 7-on-7 match is that they were just getting eliminated. They were dropping like flies. It was like... boom,
which unfortunately is how they often book these women's Survivor Series matches.
Mm-hmm. Especially with that many women in it. There was 14 women in this match.
There were 14 women in this match. I think the match went for like 6 minutes.
It wasn't long.
It wasn't long. Well, it should have been longer.
I don't want to say it was... I don't think it was bad. I just think it was rushed.
I didn't think it was great, but I think it was because it was rushed.
Yeah. Now, True Divas versus Total Divas. When you look at the group of women that were with AJ, Kaitlyn, Tamina, Summer Rae, Alicia Fox, Oksana, and Rosa Mendez, they didn't really have much of a chance.
No, it's a bad team.
It's not a great team. When you have Rosa Mendez was someone that was there for so long and literally did nothing. She did nothing. She was there for a while.
Literally, the only thing I remember about Rosa Mendez is the one time she got her ass pulled out on TV.
Oh, yeah. And that was...
And they made it a Total Divas angle.
Yeah, because she was on Total Divas later in the years, wasn't she?
She was on Total Divas right around the time I stopped watching.
Yeah. Oksana, she was on the original season... Oh, well, not the original... The third season of NXT. Yeah. She married Goldust in that season.
Of course she did.
Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't want to marry Goldust? What a dreamboat. But Oksana, again, not someone that really did a lot when she was there. Alicia Fox, I think she's the longest tenured woman ever, isn't she? I think she was in the company for 12 years. Yeah, 12 or 13 years. That's a long time. for anybody, but especially a lady in the business, like in WWE at least. She was the longest tenured one. She only recently just left. So Fox, but at that point, Fox was only a one-time Divas champion in that time. She was just kind of there. And I liked Alicia Fox. I didn't really have a problem with Alicia Fox. I thought she was okay.
The best Northern Lights suplex in the game.
Yeah, she had and a great tilt-a-whirl backbreaker as well.
That's correct.
Summer Rae, I always liked Summer Rae, and again, just didn't really ever. I liked Summer a lot in NXT. I thought she was great in NXT, and then she was with Fandango, and then she had that awful. She was involved in that awful storyline with Ziggler and Lana and Rusev, and that was just a disaster.
That sounds familiar.
Oh, does it? Does it sound a little familiar? I wonder why. Then you had Tamina, who was with AJ, and Kaitlyn. Yeah, the team was what it was. Again, rapid eliminations. There was an elimination from somebody. I know Cameron was involved. I don't know if it was Cameron doing it or Cameron getting it. It was literally elimination of someone getting thrown into the second turnbuckle, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, this is the one match I didn't go back and watch because I remembered it pretty well, that I didn't like it.
Had a lot of time put into it too with the story going on, which is a shame. It was just, again, rushed. Rushed is the word to describe. But Team Total Divas wins. They even had a rematch on Raw the next night, and Team Total Divas won again.
Yeah.
I guess this was just a way to
ever wrestle.
Total Divas got some W's because AJ had been kind of winning everything. So
yeah, they were due for a win, and this is the perfect way for them to win without taking away from AJ.
Mm-hmm. Now, the next pay-per-view that we'll talk about is we're just kind of going pay-per-view to pay-per-view here because we'll talk about why in a minute. But December 15th, 2013 at TLC, it would be AJ and Natty, AJ and Natty had been working on Main Event because you remember when Main Event was live on the network for a little while?
Yeah, they actually tried to make it like a big deal.
Yeah, and they had title matches on there and stuff like that, and often, a lot of times, AJ would main event because there'd be title matches, and she worked with Natty. Tamina kept getting involved. So they had a match at the pay-per-view. I thought it was fine. Obviously, when Natty and AJ are involved in something, it's always going to be okay. It's always going to be better than okay. I thought it was a good little match. It got Natty on the card. It got AJ to retain. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was one of the better matches of the run that AJ had. I thought it was, two technically sound workers just going at it. And looking at the match times, again, you could say this match should have went longer, but I think it was fine for what it was. It was longer than a couple matches on the card with the men, which is a good sign for comparison. Yep. Obviously, they had to dedicate a lot of time to Orton and Cena that night because everyone loves to see Orton and Cena. Mm-hmm. So,
hey, AJ got the win, and this is when things get a little bit like, because going into 2014, AJ was the then longest reigning Divas champion. She would boast about that. It seemed as if like Naomi was getting kind of pushed towards the title, but then Naomi got injured, something with her eye.
Naomi never got a shot at the belt.
And then...
Except for that Fatal 4-Way.
Yeah, and then AJ didn't even defend the title at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. There was no women's matches on that Royal Rumble pay-per-view.
No, it was the first time since she won the title that she wasn't on the card.
And it's weird, because usually at the Rumble, they always put a Divas match on because they had so many... men working in the Rumble that they needed something to fill the card. I know that sounds awful, but they always did have some kind of match with the girls, which is something I would have expected at that time. Now, Royal Rumble 2014 was a very interesting Rumble. A lot of stuff went down with the actual Rumble match itself.
A lot of animosity.
Brian was red hot going into this Rumble, and, it was just an interesting Royal Rumble pay-per-view. But no AJ, no nothing, no AJ Lee sighting, no nothing like that. Again, the stuff with Naomi was going on, so maybe they were going to have Naomi and AJ at that pay-per-view. I don't know, but then Naomi got hurt. A bit weird, though, that they didn't just, You could have had AJ and Nikki. Like, they hadn't worked at this point, like, on pay-per-view. So it was different, but whatever it may be. We go on to February 23rd, 2014, so we're jumping a little bit ahead just because of a lot of nothing. AJ versus Cameron. Now, Cameron was not great.
Cameron,
especially face Cameron, like a heel Cameron, I could go, okay, at least you're a heel and whatever. But face dancing Funkadactyl Cameron fighting for her injured friend. Oh man, not a good match.
No, this is when I think you picked up on it when I said that not all the matches in this run were
I
good.
knew what you were talking about. I was like,
This is what I was talking about.
The ending was odd. It was like a disqualification by Tamina because Cameron nearly fucking won at some stage. She was getting a lot of momentum. It was weird. So the DQ happened. AJ got to keep her championship because of the DQ. So what do you do when you have one bad match? You have a rematch. March 1st, 2014.
You double down.
AJ retained over Cameron this time, and it was decisive this time. There was no leaving room to open with Cameron. She won. Tap out. Divas Championship retained. At this point, AJ was like desperate for new challenges. Like desperate. Especially leading into Mania. I didn't really know what was going on because they had built one story with the Total Divas stuff. I'm like, what the fuck's going to happen? But then, March 24th, 2014 on Raw, there was a lot of stuff going in throughout the years of AJ's career. AJ and Vicky Guerrero. And they had a lot of back and forth.
In the same vein as Stephanie McMahon, even if they were both heels, never got along.
No, never got along. Or ever since the third season of NXT, they had just never gotten along. And Vicky Guerrero come out. She was the acting general manager of Raw or something at this point. I'm not really sure.
Brad Maddox were doing shit.
Yeah, and but even though the Authority were there, so they were just the Authority's bitches, pretty much.
Yeah.
But she come out and she said that at WrestleMania 30 we're gonna have the Vicky Guerrero Invitational, and AJ would be defending against the entire Divas division. The rules of the match at that point were undisclosed. I remember this happening and being like, is this going to be like a battle royal? Is this going to be like some form of free-for-all? Is this going to be, what the fuck is this match going to be? Because there was 14 women. 14 women. That's all. It
was a Fuster Cluck if there ever was one.
So, WrestleMania 30, April 6, 2013, we've come a year. And to look where AJ was at the start, at WrestleMania 29, a manager, to going into the one and only defense of the Divas Championship at WrestleMania. It was the only time it was ever defended. AJ Lee's first wrestling match at a WrestleMania, and it is technically a fatal 14-way. First pinfall wins. Now, okay, I have a probably unpopular opinion about this match. Okay, so what just transpired before this match was the end of the streak. A moment that every wrestling fan will never ever forget. I remember watching that and being like, holy fucking shit, the streak is over. And the life out of that building it was gone. It was just sucked away.
This Divas match was screwed because of that.
Any match could have been screwed. I'm pretty certain anything you put on, it was going to have an effect on it.
Yeah,
I mean,
there was no way any match was going to succeed in that spot. It sucks that the Divas got stuck there, but I'm not really surprised. I mean, at that point, we were still very far away from the women's evolution, and we are still getting
the main event. The main event of the pay-per-view was Bryan, Batista, and Orton. It took the crowd a little bit to get back.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were hot. Of course, it was Bryan. They love Bryan. But it took them a fair while to get back into that match to be like, okay, we're loud, we're ready, we've got our senses back, because it's The Undertaker Arguably the greatest character in the history of wrestling. Arguably the greatest superstar in the history of the company. There's so many arguments to make that he's the best. You have his streak end, which is something that I never thought would happen, honestly.
Especially not that night.
Looking at it now, you're like, why wouldn't Brock win? But I am still on... I don't know if I'm on the team of... That's a discussion for another day, is like, if the streak should have ended. But you put anyone on after that, and it's going to be affected. Now, I am looking at this match purely from a match standpoint. I'm not thinking about anything else. Going back and watching this match, I honestly did not think, for what they were given, it was a cluster. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of bodies in there, and when it's first pinfall wins, it's going to be a cluster. But I think, given with what they were given, it was alright. And I don't think a lot of people think that match was very good. But I actually thought it was okay.
I think it was very good.
I thought it was okay. There was spots in there that you didn't really see from, like, suicide dives from Brie and Nikki. You didn't really see that a lot. There would be no way in hell. I'm not a professional wrestler by any sense of the word. But I would imagine that match would be very hard to put together. How do you put together a 14-way first pinfall wins kind of deal? How is that even believable? And to do what they did, there was a lot of... They kept the match fast. There was a lot of stuff going on in the crowd, especially at the start. There was chance of no one cares. There was just like a deafening silence for a little while. But by the end of that match, they were cheering for AJ Lee. Therefore, you said it at the start. You said it in that payback match. If they're cheering, that means they've done a good job.
I did say that.
So therefore, in this match, they got them back. Because there was a few spots in the match, like a super kick from Tamina, and the crowd, in all sense of the words, I understand it wasn't very big, but from what just happened, they reacted. And there was some people still going, okay, this match is picking up a little bit. The Black Widow with the odd ending, because it was like a tap out from Naomi, but then also AJ was tapping her other hand. It was really
and I
still don't understand why that
wanted to look like Naomi wasn't actually tapping out, I think.
Was there a plan maybe for Naomi to be, I don't know. But I don't know maybe the plan wasn't in place because obviously stuff happened the night after. After 295 days of being the Divas champion, AJ of course did lose to Paige, which really was the ushering of that new kind of deal.
Yeah, that's where it started, really, was that. And AJ, it sucks because you look at AJ now as sort of a footnote because you look at the era having started.
Paige is kind of a footnote, though. A lot of people look at Paige.
Paige and AJ are in the same boat because they also had that long, really good feud after the fact. And then the Horsewoman came in.
Yeah. And Paige got hurt, and everything like that. But what a progression. Mania to Mania for AJ. She went from being a manager in a losing effort, I will add, to being the winner of the first and only Divas Championship defense at WrestleMania and the first and only fatal 14-way match maybe ever.
Hopefully ever.
She beat 13 other women.
Yeah, and that's why it made so much sense for her to lose the belt to Paige because Paige was a new, fresh face.
And it was a cool moment.
AJ had run through the same 3 or 4 people, then the same 14 people so many times that it had to be someone new that took the belt off her.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you actually look at the list of people in that fatal 14-way match. Naomi, Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, Natalya, Cameron, Tamina, Eva Marie, Rosa Mendez, Summer Rae, Alicia Fox, Oksana, Layla, and Emma. Emma was great.
Emma was great.
I liked all versions of Emma. Dancing Emma, Evil Emma.
Evil Emma was so good.
She was just riddled with injuries, and it sucks that she never really... I understand she's doing stuff now. Tenille Dashwood, of course. She's doing stuff now at Impact, and she was at All Out, wasn't she?
I believe she was.
Yeah. It sucks that she never really... Because I feel like by the time of her ending, she was kind of getting some steam. But, yeah, it was a lot of women, and AJ kind of beat them all. Paige was the perfect person. And what a moment that was, by the way, the night after that WrestleMania was very good. The crowd, they were very much ready for Paige because she looked like change. She fit the part of change, and she was doing a lot in NXT, and that was really the start of like the NXT women in NXT shining. I mean, that was just after Paige and Emma had a wonderful match at a Rival, and then we had Charlotte and Natty and everything that progressed, and Paige and AJ were really waving that flag on the main roster, and they were doing a lot of cool stuff. Then you had stuff with Nikki and Brie, and then they kind of merged together, and then Nikki kind of took over, and that was really the transition between the Divas era and what we see now was Nikki Bella.
Yeah, then I've said this on the show before, but I look at those 4 women, Paige, AJ, Nikki, and Brie, as the bridge between the eras, the bridge between the Divas era and the Women's Revolution era.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I believe from the time that AJ and Kaitlyn started their program all the way up until the Horsewomen, I was going to say something really horrible then. The Horsewomen come into WWE, like the main roster, was really that transitional time. And then we are where we are now. But it's because of years like this that AJ Lee had, that Paige had, that Nikki Bella had, that Brie Bella had, is why we are where we are today. Because going back and watching these matches, it's like I really appreciate now. Not that these matches were bad. It was just that the importance level is so much higher now. And the time and the investment. I mean, would you say when you're going through and watching, even in the time of 2013, watching through AJ stuff, you're like, yeah, she's really cool and she's great, but a woman will never be head of a company. I mean, it's arguable, but Becky Lynch is the face of the company at the moment.
Yeah, I never thought I'd see it. I never thought. Even with AJ being as good as she was, I never thought I'd see it.
WrestleMania main eventers.
Never thought I'd see it.
Crazy. You went from matches at WrestleMania 30, these like matches where it's just a cluster, to legitimately having 3 matches at WrestleMania this year. Yeah.
And even if you go back even further to WrestleMania 29, there was no women's match on the card at all.
They got canned. They got fucking taken off.
And it wasn't even a Divas title match. It was like an 8-person tag match.
Kaitlyn wasn't even defending the Divas Championship at that Mania. It's crazy to think where we've come in this time, but it's because of women like AJ Lee, because of years they had like this. Like, you go back and I'm just looking at this on paper, and it's like AJ had a fucking awesome year, and she had another great year. We could do another Mania from Mania 30 to Mania 31 on AJ or on Paige, and you would see the year is just progressively getting better for the women.
Yes.
Like, it didn't go down from here. It went up.
For her. Obviously, she wasn't champion for the whole time, but she had another great 2 feuds with Paige and with Nikki Bella.
Yeah.
That led to that awesome WrestleMania 31 tag match.
Yeah. And Nikki had a great moment at SummerSlam turning on Brie, and there was simultaneously 2 really good women's feuds going on at one time, which is something then that you would never see. You never seen 2 women, let alone 1 women's storyline happening. So, a very progressive year.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm so proud of the women for all they've done, and for how they were able to transition seamlessly into a new era.
Yeah, seamlessly into a new era, and just they're consistently the best part of the WWE product, in my opinion. Now they really are. But what a cool trip down memory lane, going down, and again, an unsung hero of the Divas division and an unsung hero of the women's evolution is AJ Lee. It was fun going back and looking at AJ's career, well, even just a year in AJ's career, because it brought back a lot of like memories and a lot of like, oh, AJ was actually really fucking great. I really liked AJ.
It was great to watch her matches, because I've gained a newfound appreciation for her, because it's 6 years ago now, so it's not like it's that recent. But she put on one hell of a match, and for that, I said I'll forever be indebted to her for carrying the torch and getting us through some hard times and getting us to the good times.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Well, that'll do us for this week's episode of Mania to Mania Wrestling Reverb. Of course, we'll be back next week. TLC is coming up very soon, so I'm sure we'll have something to say about that. And then it'll be Christmas, end of the year. It'll be all of that kind of cool stuff. But please continue to rate this podcast 5 stars on iTunes. Give us a follow on Twitter. You know where to find all that stuff. It's all in the description below. Sub on YouTube, likes on YouTube, and a retweet on Twitter. Whatever you do, you'll find us wherever you need to find us. We thank you for all of your support and all of that kind of stuff. And Kevin, anything else you want to add?
Just want to plug my new website.
Oh, yes. Oh, I forgot. I genuinely had that on my brain before. I'm going to give Kevin a nice little segue into his website, but go ahead.
So, I've not rebranded, but I've designed a brand new website called The Daily Chinlock. It is a blog for everyone. That all writers, non-writers are welcome, and that's actually what I want to focus on. I want this to be a place where non-writers could have a place to write. I know not everyone enjoys writing, but I always found it a very cathartic and therapeutic experience. I'm hoping others would find the same way. It's open to anybody. All you have to do is DM me or tweet at me, and I'll send you a link. You're free to post whenever you want, about whatever you want, for any reason you want, and it's a good time. I've already like 5 or 6 writers on board, and I'm looking to keep growing. I want to have a huge stable of writers, and I know I want all my good friends on Twitter to write along as well. So I'll be holding you all to that. Anyone out there who's listening and considers me a Twitter friend, you better get writing.
Yes. Everyone, please do so. It's good that you're doing this again, because I think you had a lot of steam with the Brainbuster OP stuff, and then all of that happened.
This is what I wanted to be like Brainbuster OP, because that was such a good idea, and that was like my baby. That was my brain. That was like my little pet project, and I thought we were doing so well with it. Now, obviously, everything went to shit, but I want to recapture that lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, and I think you can, and I think you will. So make sure everyone goes, and I'll link it in the description below to wherever you're listening, or if you're listening on YouTube, I'll put it all in the description that you need to see, so you can head on over there and read some stuff. But until next week, we will see you next time on Wrestling Reverb. Peace out.